Casino, Culture 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 Casino. CultureCasino. Oh, Culture Casino. Culture Casino. Culture Casino. Oh, Culture Casino. Culture Casino.
Culture Casino. Culture Casino.
Culture Casino. Culture Casino.
Wow, I'm telling you, this stream took a lot to get started today. I don't know what's going on. My internet connection is bulletproof, so I don't know what's been going on with the system lately. I'm really been a strong advocate for EV Mux lately, and right now I'm getting a little perturbed. For those of you out there, good morning. I hope you're having a lovely Saturday so far. I know I am. I've got lots of reasons to be thankful on this Saturday, including for my family. There is a lot of stuff that we could be focused on that would be negative. I'm trying not to do that today. I mean, even Bill Maher is telling the people that are freaking out about the remodel at the White House. It's just a building, and we'll talk about that. That's obviously the title story for today. But Hollywood is absolutely freaking out. The gaming infrastructure is falling apart. Gaming in general is a disaster. I mean, it's just absolutely bonkers what's been going on lately. And a very, very wonderful welcome to Cole Hauser. Good to see you. Been a couple days. Hope you're doing well, my friend. And we've got a lot to talk about. So hang on, because it's going to be a bumpy ride. Thank you, Jill, for being here early. I hope you're starting to feel better. Juliet, thank you for also wrenching away over there. Dean, I'm glad you made it today. You didn't miss it. And of course, Libby Priest is out there. And looks like Jackie Delaney's out there as well. What's up, Jackie? We've got Barry the Music Man, of course, and so many more out there. It's good to see you all. I hope you're ready for a day of days. Jeff, good to see you, buddy. And Tobach is here. Good to see you. There's no culture in this place. That's not true. That's not true. Took a minute to get everything connected, so I hope you guys can see and hear me. It's good to see you all. All right, let's get to it. I don't want to delay because we've only got a couple of hours together, and then we have the Salty Nerd podcast coming up next. You get to hang out with all the salty nerds. Looks like a Generic Burnett made it this morning. Generic Burnett is here. We've got matzo balls here as well. All right, let's do the thing with the thing. Okay, let's take a look at. I forgot we had a 2 guest spot here in the last go around. So let me get rid of that and get to the story. Man, all the shares disappeared. This is going to be a fun stream, guys. I'm telling you. But the reason I say Hollywood's wigging out is because they are. They're really worried about all kinds of being replaced scenarios, including AI, but also being put on streaming. They want to work on actual movies that matter. And I understand that, going to theaters and the whole nine. Elizabeth Olsen is joining the Hollywood Rebellion against streaming-only films. And I think Netflix and a few other streamers are starting to get this. You know, it's one of the reasons why they lost their 2 best creators, the Duffer Brothers. And Netflix has decided, well, maybe we'll start to run these things. So in order to try to earn them back as creatives for their team, obviously they're putting Stranger Things in theaters. But Elizabeth Olsen specifically, and this one's over at the Geeks and Gamers website. Again, you can find all kinds of entertainment news over there now. We've got writers mixing and working together between That Park Place and Geeks and Gamers, which include the editor-in-chief of That Park Place, Marvin Montanaro. He writes, the pushback against Hollywood streaming obsession just gained a new voice, Elizabeth Olsen. She is taking a stand for the big screen against streaming only movies, and she's not mincing words. In an interview with InStyle, she made it clear that if a movie isn't getting a theatrical release, she's not interested. So that could cut back on the number of paychecks for her and other actors and actresses, but it also kind of, is a good way to stand firm since there's so little being made by the studios that are going successfully to theatrical release. If a movie is made independently and only sells to a streamer, then that's fine. But I don't want to make something where that's the end all. And I don't think that's a good plan either. It does limit perhaps your exposure and your appeal. So if you're not an established actor or actress, but although she is, that could certainly turn you off to a project. So the simple statement that she made draws a line in the sand between the silver screen experience and the algorithm driven content dumps that have come to define much of modern Hollywood. And I think that's really frustrating for people, truly. And Dr. Jill Powers is correct over on the Green Machine. They do have themselves to blame for this. You got to stop attacking the audience. You just have to. Attacking the audience usually renders your movie inert for theatrical release and also for streaming. There is a divide, certainly a theatrical divide. Studios have tried to convince audiences that streaming exclusives are the future. I disagree with that. Of course, I'm one of the few people that does like going to the theaters, but I know there are people out there that don't and prefer watching at home with their own snacks and bathrooms. And I get it. But the impact of film is much greater than that of streaming, not to mention the sights, the sounds, the lighting, and the audio. The audio in a theater is almost impossible to match in your home theater. You can get close, but you usually have to have several thousand watts of power and high quality audio systems, and most people don't have the money to spend. Christopher Nolan was among the first to sound the alarm when it came to the difference between theatrical and streaming. Back in 2020, he torched Warner Brothers for dumping its entire film slate onto HBO Max without consulting the creators. And I imagine that's why he stopped working with them. And I don't know if he'll ever return to work on any of their projects, although it will be with new masters there, which is another conversation we're going to have later today. But I'm curious what you guys think, so let's take a look and see what the chat says. Ordered the Hitcher 4K disc yesterday. Will be a good Halloween warm-up movie. Indeed. Mark Daly's out there saying, "Hail Mexican Iron Man, best YouTuber that's not a YouTuber." Well, he is a YouTuber. He's got a pretty big channel. You guys keep making it grow, so thank you for that. Caveat Ties, what's going on? We got Mutant Bamhammer, Oyo All My Boyos for sure. Spirian is in the house. Good to see you. Many of the Avengers actors tried to tell me who to vote for. Yeah, that was an error. And if I didn't vote for Kamala, I was a bad person. So I don't care what a millionaire actors think or say. Yeah, I don't either, except that this is clearly a function of them letting us know that at least they think the film experience is superior. I happen to agree. Jackie Delaney says if they would make a movie worth going to see and that isn't as woke as Pooh and didn't cost a fortune, more people would be able to and want to go to movies. I agree with you. I think the bigger problem is that the ticket inflation is faster than real inflation. It's been going up excessively, in my opinion. Kind of like Disney ticket prices, but that's a different story. So, and there really haven't been a whole lot of films recently that have blown my dress up. So, yeah, been a while. So, hey, what's going on? Jared Markham in the house says, as long as they keep making movies like one battle after another and do not come back to the sensible theater experience, will die. Yeah. They need to come back to the sensible center. You probably have heard that phrase said before. I would love for that to happen. Bill Blum says, attacking half the country immediately eliminates half your possible audience. That's so very true. So very true. Dean says, I'm thinking that this movie by actors and written is too little too late. This movie by actors and writers. I agree with you. I think they didn't do what they needed to do in the last strike. And so, since the contract for most of these guilds is a 3-year cycle, we're on the cusp of more strikes in 2026. I think it's unavoidable. So there's that. Hey, Carl. Good morning. Good to see you. Cole Hauser says, I actually wrote in Trump when we had our election here in March. Really? That's wild. That would have been better than Carney. Oh, my poor Canadian friends. I am so sorry. I am, genuinely. That Doug Ford guy is an idiot, and especially misusing the words and the context. I'm not even convinced there's not a little bit of AI in there. The Reagan Foundation was upset. They're trying to blame that on Trump here in the States, which you can't. It wasn't Trump didn't make the ad. It was that dummy Doug Ford. And of course, taking a stand, against America, as he's done since the beginning of these trade differences, we end up where we are now. Trump says, yeah, we're done. Bye. That's crazy. Hey, Avarice Carmageddon in the house. Good to see you. Richard James, I still love that logo, says capitalism, free market, and survival of the fittest would all dictate that Hollywood attempt to add AI into their toolbox on every level. They're doing it already, and use what works. Refusing it outright is idiotic. And since you've already got the cat out of the bag, what are you going to do? I mean, this fella Schrader came out yesterday, I think it was, saying that he already has an idea for a completely 2-hour scripted film for AI. If he makes it, what does that do? I don't know. Does it get released? Probably. If it's good, actors and writers have something to worry about. That's for sure. I think I got a couple super chats I need to address. One from the most consistent person on the internet, Graph Web, for $2, saying, for Frank's sake, hashtag cancel Disney Plus. Indeed. Quick shout out to our friend Mac. Now it's known over on X. Great follow, great information, all around great person. So you get a lot of data from there, and you can use it to compare to some of the stories written in both Geeks and Gamers and That Park Place. Mexican Iron Man is in the house. This guy is a legend, ladies and gentlemen. He actually is the person that decides if you're going to be successful on YouTube. I swear. He says, new show. White House Casino. Watch live. Mexican Iron Man tears down the stone roof of the White House. The twist? Culture is chained to the basement while new concrete is poured in slowly for a new foundation. Sounds like I'm not going to be around long, kids, if I take him up on this one. But thank you, Mikey. I hope your day's going well, buddy. My birthday month is coming up. The best birthday present I could give myself is 10 minutes of hangout time with Mexican Iron Man. So I'm going to have to make that work out. Anyway, thank you, Mikey. I hope you're doing well, buddy. I owe you a phone call. Tony Piacente is in the house, dropping 5 Culture Casino memberships. Thank you for that. Look at all those names go green, including Putin's cat, who I didn't see here today. It's very strange. And one last super chat from our good friend Barry the Music Man saying, follow the Barry the Music Man for no reason. Okay. I think there's a good enough reason. You know, you got a pretty cool avatar, at least as far as I'm concerned. You know, I think I have. I think I have the re-stamping of the original album that I think that really started my record collection, which was Destroyer. So that's a little piece of trivia about Culture. Sounds like Samson. Hey, I'm not cutting my hair. Not cutting my hair. Bill Plum's like, that's reasonable. Mikey is still all about his chips. I've got him. I got him. We got, oops, there we go. We got, is this live? With a super duper chat saying, well, since I actually like the vegetable growing talk, what is your method for growing tomatoes? Well, they get a pretty healthy blend of a mixture of raised bed soil, which is supported for moisture content with peat. I have a little bit of peat in there. I have usually 2 or 3 handfuls of rabbit pellets. You know, those are alfalfa, the compressed little food for the bunnies and stuff. Those go in there because they break down over time to give you a good nitrogen release. And obviously the plant can utilize them. It also helps build up the all of the little biome that's building up in your soil. Sometimes I'll put a little piece of cardboard in there or newspaper. And that'll help with if I have any worms in the container. If I'm doing them in a ground level bed, I just make sure the soil's plenty enriched. I really do enjoy, as part of a compost mix, worm castings. Castings are a way to give everything a quick little bit of love and really boost that soil biome. So just keep that in mind. And then I have usually I go around and do a leaf feeding with a spray about every 2 weeks during the growth season. I think the biggest problem with tomatoes is knowing how much to thin them out. Of course, you're going to get rid of all the suckers and things like that, unless you grow them to clone them, which you can do very easily, by the way, from the armpits. But you got to know when to generate the most fruiting, and that, again, feeding is key to that, along with a healthy dose of sun. Make sure your soil, when you go 2 knuckles deep into soil with your finger, is still kind of damp. That's kind of the right amount of watering for tomatoes. And also consider that they don't like wet legs. Unless they're actually in a hydroponic or an aquaponic system, they don't like wet legs, which means wet roots. So they want a good, healthy amount of oxygen and loose soil. So tomatoes, I've just found that if you use perlite in your soil mix, you're creating just enough space in there to let things move around. and you want stuff to move around. Anyway, I can talk about the plants all day. Yeah, that's right. F and anti-FA, indeed. No bueno. I hope that was helpful. I can talk about vegetable gardening all the time. I mean, really. Toronto beat LA in the first World Series game. I didn't get to see it last night. Believe it or not, I fell asleep. I woke back up. I went on that show. What was I on? Oh, Lauren and Apollo. Went on Lauren and Apollo to cause chaos, which I think people like when I cause chaos and make Lauren's head pop off and make Marvin a little crazy. So it was a good time. Then I went back to bed. So it's good to see everybody. We got Dengar Renegade out there. Sweet. Tomatoes and zucchini are the only things I could ever The only things I could ever get to grow well in my area. Tomatoes are super easy. They don't mind direct sun. They're super happy about that. Basil, believe it or not, also doesn't mind direct sun. The problem is it's the heat. With basil, if you get too much heat for too long, you're going to get them to bolt. You can control the bolting, though. You can actually clip off those and take off a bunch of the top leaves, harvest them so that you get regeneration of growth. But if it's too much heat for too long, that's a big problem, especially if you're in a moist area like North Carolina, South Carolina, just kind of along the East Coast. Yeah. Anyway, let's keep going because you guys are going to get me to talk too much about this stuff. Blake Pace says more cowbell and yeah, I always want more cowbell and chaos indeed. All right, let's get going. We got more to cover. Sorry guys, there's a ton of stories today. I was kind of surprised. One of the most controlled kind of greenest kind of energy that we can have in this world is nuclear. And I woke up to some good news, which is rare, especially when looking at the AP. The Associated Press is so corrupt. I was pretty happy to see this story. South Carolina's state utility says private firm is set to restart abandoned $9 billion nuclear project. That's really good news. Georgia Power fired up their reactors a couple of years ago, and I think now you're able to utilize 100% of those new nuclear reactors. I'm hoping the same for South Carolina. I think every single state should double down and reinvest in their nuclear opportunities. It's a great way to create very inexpensive power, especially if you have a area where there's going to be a bunch of data centers, which kind of hog up the energy. And that was an unsettling discovery that they're not charging the same rates to businesses like data centers as they do to residential, which I think is wrong. I think that if anything, those kinds of electric intensive elements need to be paying maybe double the rate of a residential service. It's insane. So, but the good news here is that South Carolina state-owned utility is looking to a private company to revive the project to build 2 nuclear power plants that was abandoned 8 years ago, losing more than $9 billion without generating a watt of power. Santee Cooper's board agreed Friday to start 6 weeks of negotiations with Brookfield Asset Management that they hope will lead to a deal that lets the private company build the nuclear plants at the VC Summer site near Jerkinsville at their own risk to generate power that they could mostly sell to whom they want, such as energy gobbling data centers. And there you go. The biggest problem in this entire paragraph is this name, Brookfield Asset Management. That's how Carney is getting himself to be even more wealthy and approaching a billionaire status, is by the Brookfield garbage that he's involved in. Canada just basically invited this corrupt guy in for a meal. I'm not sure I want the states to do that, but like as long as Carney's not screwing the U.S., I guess it's not terrible. But the fact that he's screwing Canada, that is pretty terrible. So anyway, I'm just hoping that this will happen. And by the way, this is a result of Brookfield taking over the assets of Westinghouse Electric Company that had to declare bankruptcy because of difficulties building new nuclear reactors. Yeah, we need to build them and not stop building them for a while. You could actually have a regional nuclear power plant that would be incredibly safe and easy to manage. I think they're called micro reactors, that could take care of like a city. They even have some that'll take care of like small towns. I just don't understand why we aren't doing that. I really don't get it. But hey, it's me. I like logical solutions to problems. I really do. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting story. Let's jump into some of the gaming stuff that's happened. There's been a wave of layoffs, you guys probably heard, not just in gaming itself, but also in gaming journalism. You're still going to have us tonight on that game place. Very excited. In fact, as soon as we're done here, I'm setting that stream up for tonight. That'll be 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern with myself and Nolan Thunder, and I'm hoping Kevin Apollo. But let's get into this story. You've got lots of studios that have, kind of abandoned ship, and you have entire entities abandoning studios. This is the next story on Saturday News Update. Netflix shuts down video game studio Boss Fight, known for Squid Game mobile title. They're done. Yeah. The studio behind the mobile video game derived from global smash Squid Game has been shuttered by Netflix. So Boss Fight, which was acquired by Netflix in 2022, was the maker of the Squid Game Unleashed. As of early 2025, the mobile title had amassed more than 10 million downloads, making it the company's fifth most downloaded game. That's pretty good. A Netflix spokesperson did not return Deadline's request for comment. But David Rippey, co-founder and CEO of Boss Fight, confirmed the shutdown in a post on LinkedIn. And there you go. That's just the beginning of gaming's problems, guys, unfortunately. I'm not much of a mobile game guy. I always considered those to be for ladies and children. I'm a console and PC guy. I can play and I enjoy playing on both. Consoles are good for couches, and PC gaming is good for a stiff back and neck, which I don't mind. I mean, in pursuit of a good game. But some news that kind of knocked me over with a feather is kind of interesting. I got a good question before I jump into that. This is from our friend Carl saying, "What the heck is going on over at Netflix?" Well, the new co-CEO is a piece of work. Sarandos is difficult and as, neo-Marxist as they come, but the new co-CEO I consider a real problem when it comes to any kind of content. So she's, I believe, a true believer, and that's very bad for all of us. On the other hand, something interesting is happening. This is probably something we'll talk about tonight in depth. I just couldn't believe it. Microsoft's Halo is coming to PlayStation in 2026 with modernized remake. Well, if it's anything like the television show, I will definitely not play it. I just hope it's nothing like the television show. So Xbox's prized Halo franchise is coming to PlayStation 5 next year with a remake of the very first Halo game, 2001's, Halo Combat Evolved. Titled Halo Campaign Evolved, the game is described as a faithful yet modernized, so that means full of garbage. Here comes the woke remake of Halo Combat Evolved's campaign, rebuilt from the ground up with Unreal Engine 5. So, masculinized male face for any woman character, they're definitely going to insert. And terrible, terrible female AI look, I bet. Per Microsoft Gaming and Halo Studios, play the legendary story with upgraded visuals, refined controls, 2-player split screen, up to 4 players online with co-op, cross-play, and cross-progression. 3 new missions and expanded arsenal of weapons, vehicles, and new enemies. Okay. Well, as long as there's a warthog and a ghost, I'm good. I really didn't care for the tank, but that's me. So they're focusing on the campaign experience. It means we can concentrate fully on really capturing the atmosphere, tone, the emotional impact of what made the first campaign special and iconic. Halo Campaign Evolved is coming in 2026 to the Xbox Series X and S, Xbox on PC, Steam, PlayStation 5. The game will support xCloud gaming and xPlay anywhere and will be available at launch with Game Pass Ultimate and PC Game Pass. So they're devaluing what this game is worth because it's going on X Pass. No, thank you. Anyway, I'm wondering what Nolan's going to say about this tonight. I guess we'll see tonight. All right, what have you guys got to say? R.I.P. Xbox. Thank you for that, Davina. Good to see you. Tony Piacente says, da, 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 da. Woke is what is going at Netflix. That's true. That's definitely going over there. The globalist Marxists are trying to infiltrate all aspects of entertainment to brainwash Americans, and the Americans don't want any part of it. And I think if anybody were to ask what's going on in entertainment, there's no entertainment anymore. It's just a hectoring lecture from, the brainwashed. Truly. Hey, Snorty, what's up, buddy? Yes, let's make Master Chief great again. I'm all for that. Mexican Iron Man says, Culture Casino to be featured in new Halo game as Spartan transgender. LOL. I hope not. I think I'd rather be Church. Gollum's in the house. What's up? Halo. Ma'am, Sergeant. There you go. You guys are funny today. Larry, the name's so nice, you got to say it twice. Larry's Mist was only on Apple computers for a while. I do remember that. I do. The covenant and the flood are just misunderstood. And the arm of a batteries, the covenant and flood are just misunderstood, and the arm of a batteries, says Jared Markham. Okay. Bill Gates, George Soros, Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Larry Ellison, these billionaires will never live to see the damage their greed has caused. Yeah, I think George Soros is going to spend the last part of his life in prison, but that's just me. We'll see. We're all so funny. Culture forgot to laugh. I'm laughing at you. Yeah, the Spartans are the arm of a bad regime. Well, now they are. They didn't used to be. I just got stuck in Blood Gulch and couldn't get out. Bill Gates is Thanos. If only he were that nice. Mm-mm-mm. He wants most of humanity to be dead. And to be fair, there are many people in government who are wishing for that. So, hey, Jeff Helms, Gollum's in the house. Oh boy. So that was all the gaming bad news. Let's go to our main story. Courtesy of Bill Maher. Again, 50% of the time this guy makes sense now. That's saying a lot. So in Bill Maher in real time in the last show calls White House just a building after Trump demolishes the East Wing. And as a few people in the chat have pointed out, this is the area where, well, that lies above the presidential bunker. But it's not the first time that the White House has been remodeled. And a president's done something they wanted to with the White House that he didn't ask permission to do. Barack Obama didn't really get permission from anybody to make a basketball court / tennis court and other garbage at the White House. Bill Clinton put in a running track in the basement. That way the Secret Service didn't complain about him going jogging. It's been a while since he jogged. Do you guys see him recently? It looks like he needs a walker. I'm worried about him. Regardless, the East Wing is going to become a ballroom. And no taxpayer is paying for it. This is being done by people who are paying for it. And Elizabeth Warren, the paragon of virtue that she is, she's launching an investigation into it. But regardless, the discussion did find its way to the East Wing. And on the episode of Real Time, Bill Maher gave a flippant response when guest panelist Michael Steele, and again, leftists are easily offended and upset by things that don't matter, mourned the destruction of a symbol of this government. Does this guy not think that the White House is going to get put back together pretty quickly? I mean, jackhammer season is basically all the time in the Trump family. They build things all the time, knock down stuff, build bigger things, put their name on it. They're not going to put the name Trump on the White House. They could. That'd be funny. I bet you Jeremy'd get a thrill out of that. But after the Trump administration obviously tore down part of the East Wing to make way for the ballroom, and they're saying his ballroom. It's the people's ballroom. This is the thing I don't understand. And of course, Maher says, you're talking about the White House. Oh, it's a building, Mike. It's a building. That's the right answer. So Steele argued that Trump tore it down without accountability. What an idiot. Explaining it's a building, maybe to you, but to a lot of Americans, it's not. I'm going to tell you, as a young kid growing up in DC, when my daddy took me by that building, it meant something to me as a 10-year-old. It meant something to me to grow up in a town that's full of swamp creatures. Oh, I mean, where everybody in this country came and protested and cried and screamed and laughed. So that building for me was my childhood. You know, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, and many other things were my childhood, and you leftists came in with no accountability destroying those. And this, at least, is getting a plus up. The White House is getting a plus up. Maher rebutted, first of all, I agree. I said he should have gotten permits, but that's how he does things. I agree, but it's just a building. That part of the building wasn't always there. Presidents do change buildings. Nixon put in a bowling alley, Obama, a tennis court, a basketball court. I can't get this mad about everything, Mike. I just can't. And that's the problem. The permanent state of the Democrats right now is outrage and anger, and it's focused on one person, and it doesn't work for the rest of the country, just so you know. And this is where we get unhinged, this part of the conversation. The symbolism is he's not leaving. Okay, bye-bye reality. That's what bothers me about it. Who puts a giant ballroom if you're leaving? Well, if this guy loves the White House so much, he should have taken a tour before they tore down the area there to make way for the ballroom and other features that will be added as well. There's no symbolism in that. They needed a space to entertain all the various guests at what some people have described quite accurately, a hotel. And if anybody knows hotels, it's Trump. Anyway, panelist Kate Bedingfield argued that the destruction is an example of Trump's behavior being impulsive, reckless, and driven by his own desire for self-aggrandizement. Kudos for the college word, but that's not what it is. The White House has had a need for a giant entertainment space. State dinners and big events are held there. They entertain world leaders. They need spaces to do such things. Of course, she followed that up with, if this was the only thing he'd done on that front, then I would give you. It's just a building, Bedingfield said. I don't even know who this lady is, but it's not. It's part of a manner of governing that's tearing at some of the institutions' foundations in this country. And it's scary. Well, the problem is the institutions that were created by other presidents are massive failures, including the Department of Education. So after more than 50 years, that thing has proven nothing but destructive to education in this country. So this lady is insane. Maher later had to swallow his own words after his writers apparently didn't get the memo about his lack of concern for the White House demolition, joking on his new rules segment that now the President Trump is celebrating the White House building a ballroom and hosting lunches at his new Rose Garden Club. That's referring specifically to a meeting with the Republican senators about the government shutdown. I don't think any of that would have landed anywhere. So there's 13 comments on this story on Deadline. I'm unconcerned. And here's actually a clip from last night's show that raises a question. Why was no King's Day basically white? Just white people It's a good question. Let's take a look. Oh, wait, this won't work. I have to reshare it. Let's take a break from that. Maybe you guys have some reactions to that. I imagine you probably do. Yeah, once I saw Red versus Blue, I never wanted to play anything but Blood Gulch. There you go. Red versus Blue is great. I actually have a signed copy of the DVD, I think, for, well, at least the first season. And it's signed by all of them. It's a fully signed copy. It was amazing. So great. Our friend Bill Blum suggests an accurate statement about this is it's just a building. East Wing was put in during the 20th century and has been remodeled several times. True story. Think about the bowling alley. I think that's awesome, by the way. And the running track and everything else that's been put in by presidents. This is the thing. It's like most people don't even know half the stuff. It's like the level of ignorance, you can't even believe it. Yeah, Bill Maher, 2 steps forward, 2 steps back. Yeah, I think he's doing the cha-cha myself, but it is what it is. Ballroom Blitz. Thank you, Larry. Ballroom Blitz. We should that should be the theme. Somebody needs to make a meme with that new technology out there with Sora 2 or something with Ballroom Blitz playing in the background. Ballroom Blitz. Our good friend Eric K, moderator extraordinaire and good friend, says people forget the scandal that the Clintons stole hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of stuff from the White House. They did. They stole furnishings from the White House. Does that surprise anybody? I mean, the easy joke there would be because, they came from white trash or they came from Arkansas or any of those other things. That would be the low-hanging fruit jokes. But we need better jokes than that. That's right. The ballroom has diplomatic applications amongst many other things. Something we have, let's say that again. Something we can't say about FDR's pool. That's right. Isn't that pool covered over, and isn't that where the new press room is? I thought something to that. He's building a room using his and his friends' money. He's not doing anything that hasn't been done before, but Americans are not even paying for it, which is even better. And thank you for that, RPG adventurer. You are 100% correct. Correct. The contractors are all getting threats. Yeah, from who? See, this is the problem. You now have, and I've said this on the Thank You for Your Attention to This Matter podcast, and I'll probably say it again. That, by the way, that podcast, that show may go 5 days a week during the weekdays, just so you know. We're getting closer and closer to that. It's at least Tuesdays and Thursdays now. But I'm finding hundreds of clips every single week that I could use that are insane. Insane. And Barry, the Music Man, is correct. The Clintons rented out the Lincoln bedroom to line his pockets. Indeed. That's not even stretching it a little bit. That's exactly what was happening. The Trump house. There you go, Snortopoopus. And that's kind of what these wackadoodles were suggesting. He's not going anywhere. Hey, look at this. Cajun Corey's in the house. What's up, buddy? One of those Louisiana heroes down there. What else we got? We got Mark Daly saying, how does Pocahontas order an investigation for anything? She's not in the majority. A fact I'm grateful for every day. Yeah, Fakeahontas is she's terrible people. There should be an investigation into her every aspect of public life because she's been living off your money the whole time. Born in Boston. Great to see you. Boy, I really wish they fixed this at sign bologna sausage. I am tired of that garbage. Says Lefty needs another reason for redirection from their foolishness. It will be a lot clearer for classier for events than having heads of state in tents on the lawn. And that's the other thing. The ballroom's replacing temporary structures they had to put up in the Rose Garden when they were hosting these events. Think about it this way. Disney World has had the Millennium Tent in place that was supposed to be a temporary installation, hosting events, especially during large like food events, like food and wine and, all the other festivals they have there to take more money out of people's pockets. But that tent's garbage, and that's been up for 20 years. 25, 26 years. That thing was supposed to be temporary. This is a permanent addition to the East Wing that if you talk to anybody was desperately needed so that we could actually pretend to be the leaders of the free world. Dr. Richard James is out there again saying the presidential trips to ballrooms and hotels throughout DC costs easily $100K per party to secure. Indeed. Think about this. An inauguration ball could actually be held in the White House and will be the most prestigious of any of the balls that occur on that evening. Just so you know. Is Dutch Butters here? What's up, Dutch Butters? I love that guy. Dude, bro, Seth is here. What's up? I always forget the 420 part. I wonder why. Canadian Spider-Man's here all the way from Canada with my other friendly Canadians, including Randall Orzer. Matt G is here. Good to see you, buddy. Man, you guys are on fire in the chat. This is fun. I'm not grifting right. I was told that the other day. I'm not grifting properly. See, now I'm grifting properly. 487 Sean Tower. I really want these at signs and number things to go away, but that's just me. They're mad at Trump as he never consulted the bureaucrats. I don't care. Yeah, the bureaucrats have no power here. That's what that Supreme Court case is all about. I cannot wait for all of these people who thought they were untouchable to be packing their boxes and with their stuff and getting out. Anyway, yeah, like they would not have pushed every single roadblock to delay, then squash it once his term is up. Indeed. So let's just get her done. Let's do it fast too, which I think Trump knows how to do construction fast. Pretty sure. Can't wait to see it. Gollum says Chelsea chimed in on this and was buried on X by DJT Jr. Oh, I bet. She shouldn't be doing anything. She took your taxpayer money via USAID. She's been illegally profiting with your tax money for a long time and should be investigated and sued into oblivion or Bolivia. I don't care which, and extract that money back. That's what I want. All right, let's take a look at this clip I wanted to show you a couple minutes ago. Oh, wait, got another super chat. Okay, I'm back. I'm grifting the right way now. I am. Watch out. Two Penny Puppet says the bunker system and command center is under the East Wing. Bush gutted the wing and updated it after 9/11. Guaranteed they're updating it again. I'm sure they are, and probably getting rid of all the hidden microphones and everything else that seemed to be present or seemed to be present for a period of time once Trump re-entered the building. I can't believe they bugged the desk. That's insane. Yeah, Dutch Butters says, guys, you're going to have to see Dutch Butters later today on Salty Nerd Podcast. That's coming up in an hour. It's going to be a lot of fun. Everyone knows Mar-a-Lago is the real epicenter of power. He holds meetings with leaders there. It has a banquet room. It does indeed. That thing is like gold everywhere. All right, let's see if we can keep going. I really want them to get rid of this at symbol bologna sausage. I want your guys' names up there. They're taking away your identity, guys. Canadian Spider-Man says, go Blue Jays. Uh-oh. Polly won't like that. You have to remember, he's a Dodgers guy. Hey, Kronos Gottweisen is here. Dancing is fascist. Yeah, I guess so. Jan Monroe, hello. The Democrats have spent my entire lifetime crying about the imperial presidency. They said it about Nixon, Ford, Reagan, Bush, and now Trump. Nobody said anything about Kennedy's Camelot. Well, I mean, just calling it Camelot's an entirely different conversation for sure. Matzo Ball says, thank you for sharing Chaos Casino. Beetlejuice made my morning. You bet. I love the Chaos, and I love Luke. Holler if you hear Luke, and support the stuff he's working on. He deserves it. We got Spooky Reviews. What's up, buddy? Saying JB Spooky Reviews. Yes, the Blue Jays with one actual Canadian on the team. So I take it you're not a fan. F. Wow. Yikes. Generic Brunette says, wait, by the way, we are coming up on Halloween. Maureen Callahan's book on the Kennedys was a real eye opener. Well, yeah. Yeah. Lots of strange events in the Kennedys' lifetimes, for sure. Chaos is absolutely amazing. It truly is. Truly is. Brad likes wrestling. Look at you guys. I love it. All right, let's look at this clip. All right, let's get back to it because, like I said, I really did kind of want to share it. Bill Maher said this about the No King's Day. This is crazy, and he's talking to a black guest. So let's get into it.
That is basically a valid point to make about the whole king thing. Here's a question that I saw, did not realize until it hit the news a lot, was that it was very white. What do you make of that?
That struck him. It was very white. He's asking this guy, what do you make of it?
That the guy in Baltimore, the paper there said, we struggled to, our photographer, to find a picture of black people in this march. I'm okay with that. I didn't go, and I feel like, well, you talk.
Well, we had a meeting.
We had a meeting.
Go ahead. Yes.
And let's just say it didn't go too well for white folks, that's all.
That is basically...
And let me tell you, in this country, entire demographic shifts have been happening. It's part of the conversation that I had on Thursday on thank you for your attention to this matter of the podcast. Demographically, people are no longer aligning with the left. I mean, you have a party that embraces violence as a means to an end. And not only that, I mean, it's evident. Probably a lot of you saw people threatening us if they didn't get their food stamps or any of the other things out there that are part of the social safety net. That's done nothing but expand, much to the detriment of the people who are partaking of it. They're threatening us. Well, if we don't get this, we're just going to steal our groceries. We're just, all these things. It's like, and threatening violence. People legitimately think because they're not listening or they don't simply understand how government works that the shutdown is Trump's fault. It's clearly not. I mean, there's 1,000 reasons why it's not, but he has nothing to do with it. These are battles that are fought in Congress between House and Senate. And right now, it's the Senate that's holding this up. There's already a clean continuing resolution that's been passed by the House and by the Republicans in the Senate, except for that silly Rand Paul fellow who's giving libertarians a bad name. The guy that always votes no, according to Trump. But I think we'll figure it out. But they're not paying attention. You're not going to get your food stamps because Democrats want you to suffer. And they've said that out loud in like the clips that I showed on Thursday. And that you're basically, the people that this will affect are being used for leverage. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, as a principled individual, I hope every single one in the Senate, every Republican that keeps voting to reopen the government, I hope they are principled people like I am. And they say, we are not paying your hostage situation off. We're just not going to give you $1.5 trillion to try to artificially bolster your voting rolls and everything else that goes along with it. I don't think violence is the answer. And I don't think any of you think that either. But who's promoting it? Who's encouraging it? Who thinks they benefit from it? It's pretty disgusting if you ask me. Anyway, lots of things happen on Mars shows, which is why I had to share that clip. I thought it was rather funny. Well, we had a meeting. I thought that's funny as hell. It's like something my college roommate would have said. So anyway, all right, who do we got here? We got our good friend, Commander Ed Straker, Shadow, saying, to Cuddles, 25.6 dial-up modem and new AOL disk fund. Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Man, my voice is going. I've been talking for a full week, basically, and I have hours worth of gardening to do today. Larry says, I pay 1.5 trillion. Hang on. 1.5 trillion to deport every illegal. I think we all would. And that's what we're trying to do. And at every turn, again, who are violent? I mean, the foot soldiers for the Democrats are the anti-FA guys. And apparently, people on the social safety net programs. Am I off base here? Because I know I have a very diverse audience. I'm fortunate that way. I also have a friendship with everybody. And I love you all, as you guys know. So I'm not off base, right? I'm not the crazy one in the room, right? I don't think I am. Just want to make sure. Barry says, you've been on a lot of late night shows this week, Culture. Yeah, I have, but I'm better for it. Mexican Iron Man yells at me and says, if Culture was principles, then I'd have my casino chips 3 years ago. I love you, man. I love you. EBT is more, because I think you meant to say EB. EBT is more than assistance. Well, it seems like once I see some of these numbers, I'm like going, that goes a long way. Goes a long way. Sean Tower says no. Well, thank you. Just want to make sure. Not off base. JB Spooky Review. You're a little crazy. Thank you for that. Look at you guys. Jamie is out there. Good to see you. Got a few other folks rolling through the door. I love this. This is so fun. Brad likes wrestling, says, nope. I want all illegals the heck out of this country. Always have, always will. I see, and I have a real problem. I mean, and again, all of my friends who had family that came here the legal way and joined our country and melted into it, assimilated into our culture, they are pissed that people jumped the line and are here illegally and are claiming public safety net stuff. The social safety nets that were put in place for American citizens. We talked at length on Thursday about the death caused by the commercial driver's licenses that Gavin is giving away in California, and apparently is being done also in Minnesota, and allows people to vote illegally, which I think having observers, not a bad idea. Well, it's gonna suppress the vote. If it suppresses the vote of people voting illegally, I'm all for it. If there are consequences for people who are cheating, I'm all for it. That's the problem, is there's no consequences. Consequence culture needs to return. Anyway, got more to get to. Media's in the middle of a giant amount of change. We were kind of talking about that. It's not just the gaming industry and it's not just film. It's everything culturally is in the midst of these changes. And you know what? It's a good thing. Some of these changes needed to be made a long time ago, including media ownership and the schism that media can create when they align with political ideology that's incredibly destructive to society. And thank you very much. This is correct, Davina Duckworth, FAFO. Yeah. That Service Dog's in the house. Good to see you. Look at all these great people here today. But let's take a look. Let's take a look at this particular story, because there's going to be some growing pains and there's going to be some consequences for people who've never had any. You see, Barry Weiss is back and she's in charge of CBS editorially. This is also a big situation, because if this works out, we may start getting actual factual news from CBS News, from 60 Minutes, from news outlets that are associated with Paramount, CBS. Barry Weiss' first weeks at CBS News, 60 Minutes, miss, according to this writer, hunt for new talent, concerns over union status at Free Press. Well, new editor-in-chief, and this is analysis, and this is not my opinion. This is whoever the byline is on this, which I'm going to automatically say take with a grain of salt. But Rice is poised to revamp one of the nation's most venerable down-the-middle news outlets. It's not down the middle. It's extreme left. They tried to make word salad sound good. Anyway, the question is, will she be able to make money for a corporate parent, Paramount Skydance, after doing so? Of course she can. then there'll be two people trying to get you informed. The query is legitimate. Paramount executives believe Weiss, named editor-in-chief on CBS News earlier this month as part of the acquisition of her digital opinion site, The Free Press. Digital Opinion. It's a news site, you douche. The Free Press will bring a sense of energy and fearlessness to the home of 60 Minutes and CBS News, according to the Pearson according to a person familiar. I was reading a whole lot of words that aren't there with the company. Paramount brass were particularly impressed by a segment show on the most recent telecast of 60 Minutes. This person says featuring a sit down with Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff, with the pair detailing for correspondent Leslie Stahl how they helped broker a seeming peace deal between Israel and Hamas. Okay. The trouble, the telecast was one of the lowest rated broadcasts of 60 Minutes in the early weeks of the current season. The show crimped by a late running NFL game, which delayed 60 Minutes in New York, lured an average of 6.9 million viewers overall. It seems pretty decent. And 946,000 people in the demo, according to Nielsen data, compared to nearly 10.2 million viewers overall and nearly 2.1 million viewers between the demo the previous week. Well, yeah, I would say that the late running NFL game is where your audience disappeared for 60 Minutes. So there you go. Overall viewership fell 32%. I don't really care if you have a reason for it happening. Anyway, such ups and downs aren't unusual for 60, which can see ratings spike after an NFL broadcast. Still, the numbers are below the average audience for the show. And you're only reporting this because it makes Barry Weiss look bad. That's all they're doing that for. So in the TV news business, scoops matter, but so too does sizzle, promotion of a big interview, parceling it out among several programs, and Weiss, who has no previous experience running an editorial operation the size of CBS News. Every new candidate that comes in to work on this has never had that kind of experience. So this is really disingenuous. Wow, Variety. Penske Media has really influenced you right into the ground. There are many in the newsroom who hope she can bring things up, I bet. And there are still others who do not understand what she intends to do in her new perch or how she will go about doing it. Well, she hasn't fired you yet, so maybe just wait and see. Upon completion of her deal with Paramount, Weiss hailed the transaction as a great moment for the Free Press. People are still trying to determine what it means for the news division over which she is now presiding. Who wrote this article? Let's find out who this scumbag is. Doesn't say. I'm going to have to go look it up. Anyway. Look, this lady can only do what she can do as fast as she can do it. I hope that there's some accountability at CBS. And when people lie to the American public, they are fired. I hope people are brave enough to do that. I'm not convinced that they are. I looked at Snuffleupagus going through and lying again and misrepresenting things again, and is still working over at ABC. Disney, there's no prayer for Disney to recover. They're just corrupted garbage. As long as The View is on the air, corrupted garbage. And as long as they keep letting Snuffleupagus lie, corrupted garbage. If you're NBC, you're grateful to be getting rid of PMSNBC, Peppermint Patty, and the lying charlatan that only works Mondays. Rachel Mad Cow. Anyway, it is what it is. But media is in a weird place. And I guess that's the whole point of today's show. Barry Weiss is doing her level best after being brand new, and saying she doesn't have experience leading an enormous. This is a New York Times reporter and editor, guys. That's a massive newsroom to preside over editorially. So trying to undermine her qualifications is disgusting. But, if that's the only thing they can attack her on, right? And what's weird is nobody's fighting back with the obvious sexism conversation that they would in any other position, because as far as I know, she's an advocate, for rainbows everywhere. She's still aggressively center, and in that remains unbiased. And look at this. I mean, we have a fight going on right now, or we will, if Ellison is successful at acquiring Warner Brothers. The fact that they disconnected at the last offer he made is crazy. I don't think you could get this company to $30 a share, but Paramount stock is rising. The Writers Guild declares war on Paramount Warner Brothers Discovery sale. Why? They vow to block any merger with Warner Brothers Discovery. Why? Because they lose power and influence. Because there are redundancies everywhere and writers are going to be, not needed. It would be nice if they could get quality writing. If they had quality talent. But I'm going to tell you, the Writers Guild doesn't have veto power on a merger. They can sue people, but it won't really amount to much. They don't really have standing. They do represent people that will be part of the merger. That's true. That might be the only way they would have any kind of standing. But it's pretty wild. And this is so true. The WGA doesn't serve real writers. No, they don't. They ignore them and try to pigeonhole them or squish them. They want all these, ideologues. I don't want that. Neither do you. Sean Tower says, need to fire the employer and if repeated, jail them. Oh, are you guys talking about employment of illegals? Yeah, I agree with you. Tobach says, I lucked out and cashed out before AVG. The orange ball burst. Really? Anyway, I just found this story amazing. You can find this over on That Park Place, also written by Marvin Montanaro. He's writing a lot these days. But I don't think they're in a position to do anything. And I think this is all going to be decided in the boardroom. And I think if David Ellison comes up to $27 a share, as was suggested by Pro and Jonas and Valiant, I think that might be the right number. But would I blame him from buying this company along with all of its debt? That's the other thing people don't talk about, the enormous debt that Warner Brothers is in. I don't blame him at all. And I would just say, look, I don't want any of this Discovery stuff. Then he doesn't have to worry about any cable networks. And frankly, I don't think he wants any of the cable garbage. I wouldn't want the streaming garbage, but that's just me. I would want the people that are making the good shows, like Tulsa King and other stuff like that. But why do I want a streaming headache? I'm just going to sell my stuff to Netflix. Seems like a better path. I don't know. I could be wrong. But I will say business is changing. And the media business has changed almost entirely and completely. So there's that. And again, the question's always going to be, how high will Ellison go? Because according to Variety, maybe the sky's the limit. Warner Bros. Discovery is smack in the eye of the latest media M&A maelstrom, of course. The leading takeover candidate is aspiring Hollywood empire builder David Ellison, son of one of the world's wealthiest people. Ellison, fresh off orchestrating Skydance's merger with Paramount, is now aggressively chasing a bigger quarry in Warner Brothers Discovery. There are other interested parties. I haven't seen anything to indicate that any of them is the front runner or the leader. The company didn't name Paramount or any others that have made M&A overtures, but Ellison has been driving especially hard to win over Warner Brothers Discovery and Zaslav with a series of escalating offers backed in part by his dad, Larry Ellison, net worth more than $330 billion. There you go. In 3 letters to the Warner Bros. Discovery board, Ellison proffered bids of $19, $22, and $23.50 per share. That one was rejected on October 13. The last offer would value Warner Brothers at more than $58 billion, which it's not worth. The amount of debt is insane. Separately, the company carries a net debt of nearly $36 million. That's a lot of in the red money. Shares for Warner Brothers Discovery closed at $21.25 a share on the 23rd, up 69% since news of Ellison's interest broke, basically driving the cost up for himself. They even made a sweet offer that gave Zaslav the opportunity to become the co-chief executive and co-chair of a merged Warner Brothers Discovery Paramount. That's wild. So each bid was rejected by the board, probably because they know that all the extreme lefties will threaten violence, because that's what extreme lefties do. We'll have to see at the end of the day, but a lot of people are thinking the sky's the limit. I'm thinking there's going to be a point at which there's no more reason to offer them more money. And all that artificial stock price value that's based on nothing but speculation, not because of any material that Warner Brothers Discovery is producing, but just off of the chance to make a tidy profit on their stock. All that'll be gone too. So we'll see. We'll see. Andy Masterson's looking for the autumn sizzle. I don't have that. Pro might have that. You can probably check out Pro. They'll give you some sizzle. Probably on Sunday before the late night culture show. Looking forward to that. Lindsay, the cynical geek. Hey, kiddo, how you doing? Says, I commend Weiss for the Twitter files. Plus, she recognized the writing on the wall at New York Times. I hope she's legit. She seems to be. She hasn't wavered. Not to mention the fight. She got into a toe-to-toe with Tim Pool on his show. I was glued. I was glued for that one. Very crazy stuff. Richard James says, the progressives claim to love change. Previous news leadership wasn't working, so why is change so disgusting to the left? Good question. They need to admit is because they are afraid of change. They are. And they if anything, progressives need to change, because now they're looked at. I'm sorry, the Democrats are looked at as the party of violence. They're okay with violence. They're okay with threatening people. They're okay with creating hardship for their fellow Americans. They are not on the side of the American people. They're on the side of the illegals. They're on the side of crime. This is a problem. And if every Republican's not repeating those lines and giving examples when they run for office, they should be. I think Winsome Sears is doing a great job. Trying to promote Abigail to basically call out that Jay Jones fellow that's running for attorney general. I think that was one of the best things I've ever seen in a debate. Will you apologize, Abigail? She basically made the best commercial ever, being silent during that debate. Yeah, SAG does not represent actors. I think that's also true, Lindsay. I do. Chronos Guideweisen. The Writers Guild threatens to send a strongly written letter with the help of ChatGPT, of course. There you go. Oh, by the way, did you see Google AI? Basically, kind of defamed Robbie Starbuck. You don't think he's going to take that to court? I was flabbergasted by that this morning. A lot of made up garbage about the guy. Anyway, well, we've got a lot of places to go today. I have a lot of gardening to do. And I have friends who have a show you might be familiar with. It's called the Salty Nerd Podcast, and that's going to be coming up next with an automatic redirect from here. They make great content. They're going to talk a little bit about Star Wars, which I'm kind of trying to aggressively ignore right now, because it's really just a bunch of garbage. And I feel bad for Josh, being misled by whoever's giving him this story, because I think that's the only way he goes to the wall on it and, says some stuff that I find cringy. I guess Stuckman's horror movie has been seen by many, and not a lot of people have been enjoying that, saying it's rough around the edges. You can check that review over on that Geeks and Gamers website. And yeah, there's a lot going on. So let me take a look. We've got Kaliki Oketti out there. Kaliki Oketti, am I for the merger? I think we could do much worse. I think that the idea to divide that company in half wasn't a bad one, but it really does kind of call out on a more extended time frame exactly what the plan was all along. Reverse Morris Trust a lot of debt out of AT&T, with AT&T retaining a certain percentage of ownership, and they did it on a longer timetable. It's about 2 years or so later than I thought this would all happen. And Malone's going to get his money out, and with his Liberty Media stake in Warner Brothers Discovery. He backed out of his chairmanship position. I don't know if you guys knew that. I'm thinking this would be a decent merger. And if somebody takes too deep an offense at it, they could break the company up later. Kind of feel like that's what's going to happen with Google here in the near future. Can't Chat GPT write scripts now? It certainly can. The problem is are they any good or are they fully accurate? You actually have to tell these chatbots now that they have to be 100% factual, and you have to tell them to actually cite the facts, the locations for where they got their information, and basically create footnotes so you make sure that they're not misleading. So yeah, they can definitely write scripts. Of course, if it's a fictional script, not so much about being truthful, other than with the science. Can you imagine getting the science wrong in a sci-fi film? Anyway. So to answer the question from earlier, though, to Kaliki Okedi, yeah, I think the merger is fine. Yep, you got a membership this morning, Putin's Cat, on a gifty from Tony Piacente, who has been very generous and gracious of late. In fact, you all have been. But we are trying to get back to our 1,000 member status, guys. Wouldn't that be glorious? We have 50K. We'll get to 50K subscribers and 1,000 members. That means I'm legitimately going to be a real YouTuber. I'll be a real boy. So very exciting stuff. Speaking of gifties and generosity, those two words always belong in a sentence with Jillian H. for 5 Culture Casino memberships. Jillian, I'm so grateful to see you. I hope everything's going well, dear. You're not quite through your first full year of marriage yet. Let me know when that happens. I want to know how you're doing, how you're feeling about it. But making all those names green, turning the names green, that's what it's all about for Jillian. Hopefully I see her on Salty Nerd Podcasts in the chat. You can definitely subscribe to Campione. Hoping to get with Natalie this week from Nat and the Guy and have a conversation about some of the weird dating habits that have destroyed society. And they're all related to TikTok for some reason. I don't know why. We also, like I said, this week coming up, we're going to have 2 at minimum. Thank you for your attention to this matter podcast. And I'm looking forward to that. Jamie is in the house. Look at that. Look at all these great people. I'm so blessed with all these friends. Captain Robert April's in the house. Good to see you, buddy. It's been a minute. We got a few others out there. TZ Burton, what's up? I love chatting with you guys. This is so fun. Luke, I hope everything's going well, my friend. We need to check in with each other. I need to know how things are. You've had a rocky year. Hey. Geez. Malcolm in the Middle revival show with a new younger brother who is non-binary. They just can't stop themselves. Yep. I saw Frankie Muniz show back up with that. I have zero interest in that. And if they do that, I don't think anybody else will either. Oh, no. I'm familiar with the Film Actors Guild. I am. That guy plagiarized my post. Which one? Which one? Have a great day, Cajun Corey. Hope things are good, buddy. See you at the next meetup. I have a great day. I'm going to have a great day. I hope you're feeling well, Jillian. I'm sorry you're having a rough morning. But I'm stoked, you guys. You don't even understand. I'm going to be planting carrots today. I'm very excited about that. Jill, I'm not doing a complete body wax. I found out what I promised to do for 100K. Six sent it to me in video form. Apparently, I said that I would shave my chest live on air. I think I'm going to have to pre-record that so as not to expose too much. So just keep that in mind. Yeah, I think I also said I would do Slave Leia, which means I would probably have to shave my chest. The sad thing is I have this really cool chest hair pattern that looks like an eagle. So another super duper chat from our friend Sean Tower says, I would love to see Bari Weiss buy up Newsmax and combine them, replacing the activist journalist with Newsmax staff. That would be interesting. At least it would pull them towards center, plus getting rid of overpriced talent. They have a lot of that. That old white-haired woman is just a wackadoodle. Hey, I think we should do a celebrity roast. That's always fun. That is always fun. All right, I got to get out of here, folks. As usual, be sure to take care of yourself, take care of others, and until next time, Ayo, Ayo. Seriously.
Yeah. Sometimes I get so mad, there's no controlling me. My thoughts get so bad, I'm like, I might grab a bat, I don't know. My wrath, my blood boils over like, oh God, here goes. I lost all feeling from my head to my toes. You said some shit that I can't let go, so just stay tuned for the rest of the show. So have you ever felt betrayed? Switches how you see things, realize something needs change. Cause I know you got me fucked up, let me show you what's up. Cause enough is enough. I'll take a face full of pavement just to make a statement. I know there's no turning back. Oh God, adrenaline wasted, so mad I can taste it. I know there's no turning back. I'll do what it takes, I ain't making mistakes like that. I'll play it on your face to make you go take it back. I'll lose my shit, I go crazy when I'm mad. And now you go wish you would shut the fuck up real bad. And now that I'm gone, yeah, I know there's no turning back. And now that I'm gone, yeah, I know there's no turning back. I don't fucking take smoke, I'ma poke a hole through you, choking's overdue. Come at me and you won't get any older, dude. Crack your holder too. Heating up inside of me, blood so violently. Thanks for trying me. Now it's finally time to see how this rivalry becomes a dynasty.